You're good to go.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name's Amelia. I'm an assistant here at the library, so I'm just going to do a couple of quick housekeeping things so we can get the show on the road. First of all, we wanted to thank the Friends of the Monona Library. The Friends allow us to do great events like this, and joining the Friends and giving us your financial support is a great way to support the mission and vision of the library. So I'm going to leave these brochures on a table outside, where we also have some water and some comment cards. So if you're interested in joining the Friends, please check that out. Speaking of the comment cards, we would love it if you would take just a quick minute after the program to give us any thoughts you have about the performance, about the program, how we ran things, any suggestions for next time. We love to read those and to improve our events. We also love hearing your suggestions for future programming. We love knowing what our community is interested in having here at the library. So again, those are on a circular table right outside. We also wanted to take this opportunity to thank our partners at WVMO 98.7. They're housed right across the street again. And they have supported us in a number of ways with marketing this program, with the technical logistics, with the talent and the music. So we're just so thankful to have them so close by and to have this wonderful relationship with them. All right, I'm happy to introduce our library director, Ryan Clearingbowl.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for braving the rain tonight and coming to the show. I'm here to introduce, for those of you that don't know him, Lindsay Wood Davis. He has the reputation of, this is no exaggeration, a fierce champion of radio excellence across the area and beyond. He here in Monona has been one of the key promoters and the major driving force behind WVMO that Amelia just mentioned. And in just the 3 short years, it's developed into what is considered one of the coolest little stations in the nation. And we are extremely proud of everything that they've done. Recently, Lindsay has stepped down from the Monona's media committee. And I want to just take this quick opportunity to say thank you for everything that you've done for Monona and for the library. It is. He has been one of the major driving forces to get this program here tonight, and I cannot thank him enough. So please, Lindsay Wood Davis.
Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how pleased and excited and happy I am to see you all here tonight in one of the true jewels of our community, the Monona Library. We're not too many years away from when this was named the state of Wisconsin's very best library. And under Ryan's leadership, it gets better and better every year. So we're very proud of this place. And I want to point out a WVMO volunteer, because that's what we are. That's what we are. Community-owned, locally programmed, volunteer-driven. Amelia Spate and her mother, Sue Carr, host a show called
My Fair Ladies.
My Fair Ladies, Sunday night, 8 o'clock. It's Broadway show tunes. They are a hoot. Tune in. Okay, my name's Lindsay Wood Davis. Up until this last Friday, I would have told you that I was the chair of the Monona Radio Committee, the folks who do bring you WVMO. But Friday was my last day. I've retired. Yay! I turned it over to our longtime operations director, Will Nimmo, who I think is in the other room. He's a wonderful guy. The work, the very best days of WVMO are ahead of it. Community media in Monona has grown to the point where I'm excited to tell you something you get to do. This is being streamed live on YouTube as we speak right now and archived. So you're going to be able to go to the Monona Community YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see this show. So that's an exciting thing. A little backstory. Oh, Ron Dennis doing sound for us tonight. Another WVMO volunteer. That's really important, and thank you, Ron. A little backstory for you here. In the early and mid-'70s, my wife Amanda, and that couple next to her, Len Carpel and Darcy Sanders, were part of a group called the Amazing Grace Family. We ran a music club called the Amazing Grace Coffee House, featuring folk, country, bluegrass, occasional forays into jazz and blues, and spoken word and even theater. There wasn't a name for that back then, but today we would call it Americana. And that's what you hear on WVMO, sort of a 21st century version of what we were doing back in the mid-1970s. Amazing Grace was voted Chicago's #1 music space for 5 years in a row in the Chicago Reader, which was wonderful, except for the fact that we weren't in Chicago. We were up north in Evanston. Many of the national touring artists that performed at Grace used to stay in the big old house that we all shared together in Evanston. Lots of those people became great, longtime, forever friends. Bryan Bowers first played for us in February of 1973, 45 years ago. I had to look it up, Bryan. Though he's played all over the country and all over the world, something I have a feeling I don't have to tell a lot of members of this crowd, there's a warmth between Bryan and the rest of the Gracers that truly transcends time and distance. Last winter when Bryan passed through town and stayed at our house, we were talking about his schedule in the summer, and he said he was going to be in Elgin, and he was going to be driving up to Shawano, and he said, "Hey, can I stop by?" And we, "Yeah, sure." He said, "Wouldn't it be cool if I could play?" Yeah. A few phone calls later, Ryan's gone now, to the folks at the library here, Tony Streckert, Ryan Claringbowl. We had it arranged. They said they would do it as long as WVMO would co-sponsor it. That's where we are. Tonight, Bryan's going to play until 7:20. And then there'll be time for us to talk. He's going to have CDs for sale, and there's a new one in there that you're going to love. One with Darcy Sanders' cover on it. That's a particularly good one. And just enjoy it. But we have to be completely out of this building at 8 o'clock, and I'm going to ask you for your cooperation with that, because I know a lot of you want to talk to Bryan. So stand in the rain and do it instead. I'm not going to tell you what you're about to hear. You all know, and many of you do. If you don't, there's something coming you'll just love. But that's why I'm so pleased and excited and honored to say, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, our friend, Bryan Bowers.
Well, I thank you, Lindsay. I thank all the folks here that are working on the whole thing, the program. And I thank all my old friends from far and wide coming around, showing their faces. And I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to start with a song by some of my favorite all-time performers and writers. And they are locals. They are right in your own community. This is a song by Peter and Lou Berryman. It's a little nugget called "Dem Deer." I hope I don't mind when an old man sing, help me to keep my mind on things. So when I go where the animals thrive, I sing this song on a treacherous drive. Dem deer, they're here, dem deer, they're here, they're everywhere. Dem deer, they're here, dem deer, they're here, they're everywhere. At dawn in fields and coniferous groves, bucks and does come alive in droves. Just when you think that the coast is clear, there in the road is a white-tailed deer. Dem deer, they're here, dem deer, they're here, they're everywhere. Dem deer, they're here, dem deer, they're here, they're everywhere. In venison land as the day go by, the deer lay low when the sun is high. Sun go down as the night draw near, twilight brings out the white-tailed deer. Dem deer, they're here, dem deer, they're here, they're everywhere. Dem deer, they're here, dem deer, they're here, they're everywhere. Bucks bed down where the tall grass grows, fawns they does where the doe does doe, there, does here, and does are the habits of the white-tailed deer. Dem deer, they're here, dem deer, they're here, they're everywhere. Dem deer, they're here, dem deer, they're here, they're everywhere. They came out on a dance floor, their faces lined with care. And she pushed her purse up on her arm, he smoothed down his thinning hair. And they started to dance like old lovers who know and cherish each other's grace. And his arms never pushed nor pulled her, and her eyes never left his face. A rock and roll band was playing. The two of them looked so out of place, with no one else over 30, no one else in an embrace. As they started to dance like old lovers who know and cherish each other's grace. And his arms never pushed nor pulled her, and her eyes never left his face. Not much more to the story. She whispered something I believe, and he smiled and said yes, yes. It looked like they were gonna leave, but they started to dance like old lovers who know and cherish each other's grace. And his arms never pushed nor pulled her, and her eyes never left his face. His arms never pushed nor pulled her, and her eyes never left his face. Well, many, many years ago, the Dillards, the great bluegrass group, the Dillards, heard me and liked what I was doing, invited me to come out and be with them for a year on the road doing shows and learning about the festival world. And I did, and it was great. And they used to sing this song, and I really loved the song. I thought it was a fun song, and I thought it was a really well-written song. Particularly, I liked the third verse, the writing. But I never thought it would be a song for me, because at the time I was young and black-haired and flat-bellied with waves of testosterone rolling off of me. I had no idea I'd look like this at 78. But a few years ago, I decided it was time to learn it, and so I did, and it's called Hey Boys, I Think I'm Getting Old. When I was a young man, I lived along the Merrimack, washed in a river when the water ran clean. Waited for the day I could buy me a Cadillac, see a lot of things that I never had seen. Went to the city and I got a little older and I got a little smarter and I learned good sense. Came back home, married me a woman, got a cornland bottom and a barbed wire fence. Hey boys, think I'm getting old, sitting by the fire when the weather gets cold, don't care. Down around the farm, a little drink won't do us any harm. made a little moonshine, never done that in my life before. Kept up news in the wintertime, sitting on a barrel in the country store. Hey boys, think I'm getting old, sitting by the fire when the weather gets cold. Don't care, down around the farm, and another little drink won't do us any harm. Rear back, talk about your politics, fight about religion, and worry about war. Pa said, spitting in the fireplace, pour a little cider when your throat gets sore. Hey boys, think I'm getting low, sitting by the fire when the weather gets cold. Don't care, down around the farm, and another little drink won't do us any harm. I think I'm getting old. Well, I had a call a few years back here from a friend of mine. He says, I just got my call from the Ford dealership. My new truck is in. I've been waiting for it for 7 months. Would you come down and help me pick it up, and then we'll go out and take a ride up to the view spot up on the hill where we can look out over the mountains and stuff. I said, that'd be great. I'd love to see your truck, take the view spot, beautiful day. So we went down and picked up his truck. It was a brand new four-wheel drive, $62,000 crew cab truck with every gosh darn imaginable option on it. And we started driving up to the view spot, which is only about a 20-minute drive up, way up high on a hill, very steep all the way up, 20-minute drive. Well, it took us about an hour and 13 minutes because he's going about 2 miles an hour on that gravel road. Scared to death he might get a scratch on that puppy, you know. His brand new $62,000 truck. Well, we got up there. You could look to the north and you could see the beautiful Rockies up there, the northern Cascade Mountains up in Canada, sun shining on the snow. You could look back down south. You could see clear down past Rainier, clear down past into Oregon to the Mount Hood, just on the top of Oregon. And then you could look back to the east to the rock pile. We call the Cascade Range the rock pile. And that's back heading looking this way, you know, and you could see all the pretty snow-capped mountains back there. And then turn to the west and look out, and there laid out in front of you was the beautiful Puget Sound body of water, which Mr. Tom Castle has sailed on his tall ships as the captain of the tall ships. And then off to the right, across the invisible demarcation line into British Columbia were the Gulf Islands. Most spectacular 360 view you ever would want to see in your life. We were there for 2.5 hours, and he never took his eyes off his truck. So while he obsessed about his new truck, I wrote this. If I had only 1 hour, if I got told that I had only 1 hour to gather what I could carry on my back, I'd skip 60-inch high-def Blu-ray TV. I'd take the hand-cranked wooden coffee grinder. I'd skip the beautiful elk-antlered mirror. I'd take my slingshot and 1,000 steel balls. I'd skip the Mac Pro iPhone 6 and printer. I'd take the World War II black binoculars. I'd skip the double swing-out lazy boy couch. I'd take the sturdy mid-sized tent, ropes, and tarp. I'd skip the brass burner propane-fired cook stove. I'd take the squeeze-handled metal spark maker. I'd skip the green stainless steel Stanley thermos. I'd take the hand-carved wooden pot-smoking pipe. I'd skip never soaped, finely seasoned cast iron. I'd take one pan, one plate, one kip, one skillet. I'd skip the box of electric power tools. I'd take a hand limb saw and my Leatherman. I'd skip the rings of keys in their vehicles. I'd take 2 full changes of clothes plus rain gear. I'd skip all the high stacked and stickered hardwood. I'd take my glasses, nail clipper, and toothbrush. I'd skip suitcase, fancy duds, cufflinks, and ties. I'd take one hat, one back, and one fanny pack. I'd skip cans of gasoline, paint, and thinner. I'd take one harp and Cole's Book of Fiddle Tunes. I'd skip the Georgia Heartwood burnished table. I'd take dog, gun, and you, dearest, to the hills. And there, by the light of a blazing campfire and with the added help of a bright full moon, I would do a monthly ritual of love, as I would with failing old eyes read to you the poems I wrote for us back in the day. And I would glow even hotter than the fire as I'd see the love tears forming in your eyes when you watched me at the end wrap the poems in the one waterproof pouch that I'd carried. Then there would be a slow, sweet dreams, good night waltz that we now, both completely white-haired, would dance, twirling a few times, then walking hand in hand, laughing at nothing, with eyes shining with love, as we'd sink down onto a bed of soft boughs, and we, poor and homeless, would be quite content, snuggled up neath our lone Hudson's Bay blanket, and we'd spoon each other against wind and cold, while the full moon would trace an arc across the sky. This is a little instrumental by a gentleman named Ron Wall from Nashville, Tennessee. It's called Patty Ann. Well, as a street singer in Seattle, Washington, many, many years ago, before John Denver recorded a song of mine, it gave me a little financial stability while I was trying to go around the country with my pretty primitive promo package, basically saying, well, I know I look weird and I'm playing a weird-ass instrument, but I'm pretty good. You ought to give me a listen, you know. Pretty basic promo package. But anyway, the thing is that they would always say stuff like, well, that's real pretty, but it's too soft. Why don't you get an amp? They want me to get an amp. I didn't want an amp. I wanted to play acoustic music. So I kept adding finger picks. By and by, I got to where I could get plenty of music out of the harp, pure acoustic, without having to carry an amp. And it works like this. You get the rhythm with your thumb, melody with your middle finger, a low line with the index, a high one with the ring finger, and another high one on the top with your little finger. And you start off just with the rhythm with your thumb. Melody comes in with your melody with your middle finger. Line with the index. First high one with the ring finger. And on the top is a last second line, high line with the little finger just to bring it all together. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, you know, my childhood in Virginia, where I was raised, my favorite day of the week was Sunday. And that was, of course, because that was the one day of the week my dad cooked breakfast. So I'd wake up Sunday mornings up in the attic where I slept to the smell of jet-fueled coffee boiling up in the can and bacon frying. Come down the stairs, big old breakfast. Mom and Dad and I'd have a big old breakfast. And then right after breakfast, we'd get in the old 39 Plymouth Roundback sedan, which is our family car. We'd drive off out to the country to Aunt Bess and Uncle George's house. We'd get out there at about 1 o'clock on Sundays. We'd have the family dinner, and everybody would come, all the Bowers clan. My last name is Bowers. All the Bowers clan, young and old, from far and wide, would gather up to our family dinner at 1 o'clock. Well, we'd get out there most Sundays around 9:15 in the morning, and I would go out in the yard with the other kids and play games. You know, kid games, hide and seek and tag and king of the mountain and such like that. Well, then, right on the stroke of 10 o'clock, every Sunday in my childhood, out on the porch would come Aunt Bess. Now, my Aunt Bess is a powerful woman. She was a woman of few words, but this did not diminish her power. She'd have on a blouse, a skirt, a little apron over top, bare feet, and some gold-rimmed granny glasses. She'd come out, stand there, wouldn't say a word, just look out across the yard at us kids playing. Us kids would see her. That was the end of the kid games. We'd come running right over because none of us wanted to miss the Aunt Bess show on Sunday mornings. Well, once she saw we were coming, down off the porch she comes. She'd start walking barefoot through the dewy grass, heading for the chicken pen. And us kids giggling and laughing and running along behind her, us barefoot too, running through the dewy grass. And as she walked towards the chicken pen, she sang a melody. Didn't sing no words, but she sang, do 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 do. She had a raggedy voice. And there was this circle chicken wire like this, you know, that kind of circle chicken wire, all around the pen to keep the chickens in. And then the same kind of circle chicken wire laid up over the top to keep the hawks from flying down in and getting a free lunch. And then there was the hen house where the chickens slept at night at one end of the chicken pen. And there was a wall at the end of that, and on the other side of the wall was where we kept the feed with a separate door on the outside of the pen. So Aunt Bess would get in the feed part of the hen house. She'd open the door and step up in there. She'd pick up a cob of corn out of the pile of corn cobs that was laying there, stick it down into the hand crank grinder and start turning the crank. Pretty soon the cob starts going down in the machine. Pretty soon it comes out the bottom, clean as a whistle, not a kernel of corn left on it. She'd kick it out of the way, put another one in. Meanwhile, out the spout into which she'd hung a little galvanized bucket would come a trickle of golden kernels of corn. She'd keep kicking and feeding and kicking and feeding, and pretty soon the little bucket would be filled up with niblets. Then she had her feed apron hanging on two nails on the inside wall, pockets facing towards her. She'd pick up the bucket and nibble. Never fill one of them niblets, fill up all the pockets even. Then when she was done, bam, throw the bucket against the wall. We'd hear the clang of the galvanized bucket against the wall, and we knew she was coming out of there pretty soon now. And then she'd come out and she'd latch that gate, and then she'd walk down to where the chickens were waiting at the gate where you go into the chicken pen. They had heard the grinding. They knew what it meant. They knew chicken food was coming. Well, the first words out of my Aunt Bess's mouth every Sunday in my childhood were not, "Good morning, Bryan. How you doing this fine Sunday?" No, there was none of that. The first thing out of Aunt Bess's mouth every Sunday morning as she stood in front of that chicken pen gate was look down at the chickens. She'd look at them and she'd say, "Get back, you dumb chicken, get back." The chickens would fluff up, jump back. She'd step in. After she got in, she'd latch the gate behind her, and then, because it was a chicken pen and she was barefoot, she would carefully choose her path. And it seemed to us children that she chose a different path every Sunday. And she'd go out to her spot. Her spot was where years before she kicked all the rocks out of the dirt. Nothing sharp underfoot for her bare feet. Didn't matter wet or dry, just nothing sharp to do what she needed to do on Sunday mornings. Well, the chickens are all gathered around her looking up expectantly. Aunt Bess dip into the feed apron, big double handful of niblets, throws them down the ground. Chickens go crazy. They're looking up for more. She keeps throwing it down, throwing it down. About the 2-minute mark, she had them chickens to where they were still looking up for more. She keeps throwing it down, throwing it down. About the 5-minute mark, she had them chickens to where they were. And it was at this same point every Sunday morning that the chickens made the same bad mistake. They stopped looking up. Wrong thing to do at Aunt Bess in the chicken pen on Sunday mornings. Well, then she knew she had all the time in the world, and she threw the last few niblets down the ground. Chickens are pecking contentedly at the golden plenty at their feet, oblivious to the mortal danger they are in. And Aunt Bess knew she had all the time in the world. So first, she put her hands deep into them apron pockets. And she'd look back, tip her head back, and look up at the blue sky. And then she'd shut her eyes. And after a little bit, she commenced to nod her head back and forth. And those kids be standing outside the chicken pen, leaning up against the circle chicken wire, watching her. And I don't know what the other kids were doing, but I was trying to figure what Aunt Bess was thinking. I want to know what she was thinking when she looked up to the blue sky and then closed her eyes and started shaking her head. And I never figured it out while she was alive, but Aunt Bess died later and she took the dirt nap, and I figured it out after that. I think Aunt Bess was asking forgiveness for what she was about to do. And those kids knew it was just about showtime when she stopped nodding, opened her eyes, tip her head over, look down over them gold-rimmed granny glasses, fixing the position of every one of those helpless chicklins right in her dime eyes. And then, as if by divine providence, Sunday after Sunday of my childhood, without fail, something would catch Aunt Bess's eye. Might be a Sunday robin flying by. She'd jerk back like this. Her eyes get all big. She'd be watching the robin fly across the yard. And if you were fool enough to watch the robin's flight or watch her eyes instead of her hands, why, you might miss it when all of a sudden, boom, down she goes. She'd come up with a chicken in each hand. She'd go, whoop, whoop, whoop. Two chicken bodies would go flying off in two different directions. And here in her hands be two blinking chicken heads, still blinking. She'd throw the blinking chicken heads down the dirt, then she'd holler to us kids, get in here. Get in here and get these chickens up on the clothesline. Get in here right now. Boy, I'm telling you, we couldn't get in there quick enough. We were scared to death of Aunt Bess. And besides that, we'd seen what she'd done to them chickens. Well, we finally get the chickens tied up on the clothesline, and I tried to tell you about how she's a woman of few words, and I was not lying, you know. The millisecond them chickens went up on the clothesline by their feet so they could drain out before they get plucked. Not a word out of her mouth, but she just turned her head and look at the house. And out of the house, like he was on some kind of invisible contraption, rubber band thing, would come Uncle George carrying a great big huge cauldron of boiling water with heavy pot holders and whining under his breath all the way across the yard about, I've cleaned and plucked enough chickens to suit me for the rest of my life. Never see another chicken again, be too soon. He'd start to cuss, she'd smack him. She'd smack him if she heard him cussing on the Sabbath. There'd be no foul language on the Sabbath. And then we'd clean and pluck them chickens, and about 2 hours later, be sitting down to dinner. Oh, my Lord, pal, Lord. Big old platters of pork chops, platters of fish from the Chesapeake Bay, great huge bowls of mashed potatoes with rivers of butter running in the furrows. And then thick old sliced home tomatoes, and then beautiful white milk with the heavy cream on the top, sweet tea, pies, cakes, cookies, fudge on the sideboard for after, and of course, a couple of platters of fried chicken. And every time that chicken would come around, I'd take a big old drumstick up on my little hand, and I would think the same thing every Sunday. And the reason I'd think it was because Aunt Bess believed children were to be seen and not heard. And we were not permitted to speak at the table without permission from an adult. So I'd have that chicken leg in my hand, and I'd look at it, and I'd think in my head, I'd think, you ain't in the chicken pen no more, are you, bad boy? You about to be in my mouth, what you about to be. I look up, and Aunt Bess would be putting an evil eye on me. I don't think she even wanted us kids thinking anything. Well, that was 70 years ago, and I was at a festival, and there was a fellow playing, and he's playing under a big old spreading oak tree. He's playing a song. I thought, what in the world is that song, and why is it so familiar? Well, I couldn't figure what it was. To save me, I was trying to brush the cobwebs of forgetfulness apart in my feeble old brain. Finally, the cobwebs of forgetfulness parted, and there, as if it was Sunday last instead of Sunday 70 years ago, was the memory of me as a giggling young child and my playmates running along barefoot and through the dewy grass behind Aunt Bess as she went for the chicken pen and her singing the melody that this guy was playing 50 years later. I said, oh my God, I got to learn this. Then he started opening his mouth and singing words. It had words. She never had no words. So I was just beside myself. So this song is kind of a wonderful thing because it's not in the minor, nor is it in the major seventh. Instead, it's what you get when you push both of those chords down at the same time and you enter the Autoharp time travel machine. And you go backwards through the ages to the Gregorian chants of the medieval ages, based on firsts and fifths, no thirds, modal. And Johnny Hollinsworth, who taught me this song, the postman from Crispensburg, Virginia, he said, I don't know what the fancy boys and girls in the big cities call it, but out here in the hills, we call this mountain minor modal. So if I do a good job on this song for you, you should, even without looking at my old butt, you should be able to shut your eyes and in your mind's eye see them chickens going. Here it is, the cluck old hen. My old hen's a good old hen. She lays eggs for the railroad men. Sometimes 8, sometimes 10. Plenty of eggs for the railroad men. Cluck old hen, clucking squaw. Ain't laid an egg in the way last fall. Cluck old hen, cluck when I tell you. Cluck old hen, or am I gonna sell you? Good old hen ain't laid an egg in Lord knows when. Says her pay don't meet her needs. Ain't I gonna work for chicken feed? Cluck old hen, clucking squaw. Ain't laid an egg in the way last fall. Cluck old hen, cluck when I tell you. Cluck old hen, or am I gonna sell you? Good old hen, she lays eggs for the gentlemen. Can I persuade her by gunner lariat to lay eggs for the proletariat? Cluck old hen, clucking squaw, ain't laid an egg in the way I saw. Cluck old hen, cluck when I tell you. Cluck old hen, or am I gonna sell you? Yeah, best story, you guys. This is an old Kalamazoo mandocello. Kalamazoo was Gibson, early Gibson. And before Gibson was Gibson, it was Kalamazoo. And this song is a song where it's not clear from the lyric whether it's a man or a woman at the top of the hill. But what is clear is that whoever's up there is remembering a long ago time and a lover, never to be held in arms again. Hey, on a mountain, standing all alone, wondering where the years of my life have flown. As I looked at the valleys down below, they were green just as far as I could see. Memory returned, and how my heart did yearn for you and the days that used to be. Oh, I wonder, do you ever think of me? Or as time blotted out your memory? As I listen to the breeze whisper gently through the trees, I'll always cherish what you meant to me. Hey, on a mountain, wind blowing free, thinking about the days that used to be. Hey, on a mountain, standing all alone, wondering where the years of my life have flown. Wondering where the years of my life have flown. Wondering where the years of my life have flown. Hey, on a mountain, Ola Bell Reed. Well, turned 78 a couple weeks ago, and yeah. Let's see here now. Lost a couple on blinking chickens. Lost a few more on that dark love song. Yeah, lots caving in, but my eyes are still with me. So. Well, that's that. Who was it that said you can't please everybody? By God. This song here, you know, when you hear a song, it changes your life. It's a big deal when you're a musician. And at 78, and with, I'll spare you the long litany of the way the doctors have got me held together with duct tape and baling wire. I'll just tell you that I am incredibly grateful every morning when I wake up and see the dawn. I am incredibly grateful to be able to look my friends in the eye, tell them a bad joke, have a meal with them, share a tune with them, take a drive with them. And I know I won't live another 78 years. And this song here, to me, touches on something that is aggravating to me about death. I mean, aside from the fact that death is so dang, whatever it is, the one thing that's bad, really, really bad about it is when the angel of death comes, it's non-negotiable. You can't say, oh, Mike Wolkemer, he's a great guy, man. Give him another year. The angel of death says, that's it, you know. So this song, to me, has the element, I think, of the guy that wrote it, Dave Carter, I think he was basically saying when the angel of death comes for him, the angel of death's going to have to work at it to get him to go. He's going to fight him. He's going to fight him. So that rang a bell with me. I don't know why, God knows how I'll drop when I drop, but I'd like to think I'd make the angel of death have to struggle really hard to take me down. And so I learned this song, and I love it with great, great pleasure. I sing it night after night. I don't think I'll ever do another show where I don't sing this song, because I think it's a true thing that he's talking about. Some of the things are just ringing bells of truth within my consciousness. So here for you is Dave Carter's When I Go. Now, Ron, can you turn that treble down some more, please, and give me a little bass? It's pretty trebly. Thank you. Oh, come, lonely hunter, chieftain and king, I will fly like a falcon when I go. Bear me, my brother, under your wing, I'll be struck, filled with lightning when I go. I will bellow like the thunder, drumming out the storm of war, twisting pillars spun of dust and blood up from the prairie floor. I will sweep the foe before me like a gale out on the snow, and the wind will long recount the story, reverence and glory when I go. String spirit dancer, nimble and thin, I will leap like coyote when I go. Tireless and trancer, lend me your skin, I will run like the gray wolf when I go. I will climb the rise of daybreak, I will kiss the sky at noon, raise my yearning voice at midnight to my mother in the moon. I will make delay of long defeat and draw the chorus slow, send this message down a wire and hope someone wise is listening when I go. And when the sun comes trumpets from his red house in the east, he will find the standing stone where long I chanted my release. He will send his morning messenger to strike the hammer blow. I will crumble down uncountable in showers of crimson rubies when I go. Oh, sigh, mournful sister, whisper and turn. I will rattle like dry leaves when I go. Stand in the mist where my fire used to burn. I will camp on the night breeze when I go. And should you glimpse my wandering form out on the borderline between death and resurrection and the council of the pines, do not worry for my comfort, do not sorrow for me so. All your diamond tears will rise up and adorn the sky beside me when I go. Well, one of the things I thought we ought to do is revisit my past back to the childhood around the Aunt Bess days. We used to sing a lot of call and answer songs. This is an old call and answer song, a kid's song. Call and answer music was everywhere. The railroad guys would sing call and answer songs, and the field hands would sing call and answer songs while they were working all day, and us kids sang them too. But this one's a children's song called Liza Jane. Say Liza Jane for me. You're going to get 4 Liza Janes to call back in each verse. First one goes up, second down, third up, fourth down. Works like this. Woo now, little Liza Jane. Hey now, little Liza Jane. Whoa, Liza, little Liza Jane. Whoa, Liza, little Liza Jane. Let's see if you can do them callbacks without me coaching you. Whoa now, whoa now. Hey now, hey now. Oh, Liza. Yeah, Liza. Now you got them dang old chorus good. Now I'm going to sing verses and you get to call back with real words. Here we go. How many nickels would it take? See your pretty little body shake. Save my nickel, save my dime. See you shake it all the time. Hey now, hey now. Hey now, hey now. Oh, Liza. Oh, Liza. Now, you know, a lot of times when I have a school show, like a show for a bluegrass outfit or a folk society or whatever in the evening, I do grade school shows for the kids. So when I do the next verse, I censor it for the kids. This is the censored version the kids get. I got a gal live on the hill. She won't dance, but her sister will. Yeah, Liza. Oh, Liza. Of course, that ain't the way us kids sing it. We sing it like this. I got a gal live on the hill. She won't do it, but her sister will. Ooh, Liza. Oh, Liza. The only thing we're missing now, we got all the verses and the chorus, we got all the callbacks and everything, but the one thing us kids used to do when we were little boys and girls, we didn't satisfy ourselves with just singing the call and the answer and the words. We wanted to kick the songs in the butt a little bit. So we'd do it with rhythm. So at first we'd give a single time hand clap rhythm like this. Don't speed it up now. Stay right there. And then if you got a little coffee in you from this morning, or if you had a shot of tequila before you came over here tonight, let's have a little double time out of you like this. Let me hear some double time. Now we got something to sing against. Little Liza Jane, little Liza Jane. Oh now, oh now. Hey now, hey now. Oh, Liza. Yeah, Liza. Little Liza Jane. Oh, man. That'll wear an old man out. Let's see, how am I going to do this, puppy? Yeah, try it here. Different keys, sir, and they're not harpsichords, they're autoharps. Harpsichord is a plucked piano kind of deal. There's a place in Vermillion, South Dakota called the Shrine to Music Museum, and they have, it's at the university there, and they have about $3 million worth of harpsichords in the front room. And they have you come in and play what they call the Brown Bag Lunch Series. It's a free thing for the public, sponsored by the museum. And they have you come in and play without a PA in that room. And you can hear all the resonance. It's just insane, the resonance, you know, from all those harpsichords. It's great. So I'll do you this here next. This is a little song, a simple song, but one I still believe in. This is a song called Friend for Life. When your mom and dad cross your mind, thinking back to the ties that bind, won't fill your heart like learning some old song they used to sing back when they were young. When you learn a song, you got a friend for life you can call on in the still of the night. When you're down and out on a two-lane road, your friend, the song, will be there to ease your load. It will be there to ease your load. When time hangs heavy on your hands, the novel that you burn your eyes out on won't fill your heart like learning some old song. There will be there to help you later on. When you learn a song, you got a friend for life you can call on in the still of the night. You're down and out on a a two-lane road. Your friend, the song, will be there to ease your load. Will be there to ease your load. When the night is young but you're feeling old, TV's empty, hours won't fill your heart. Like learning some old song was your friend when you were young, and you are young again. When you learn a song, you got a friend for life you can call on in the still of the night. When you're down and out on a two-lane road, your friend, the song, will be there to ease your load. It will be there to ease your load. When your mom and dad cross your mind, thinking back to the ties that bind, won't fill your heart like learning some old song they used to sing back when they were young. When you learn a song, you got a friend for life. I had a friend that invited me to go camping over in Baltimore, Maryland, and we went in her camper, big old motor home, out to this river. And it was a saltwater river. They were catching croaker right off the dock and crab, and we were drinking 3-2 beer and cooking a little blue crab. And there was 3 days and 2 nights there, and on the last day, on the Sunday afternoon, came a raging thunderstorm and lightning and rain blowing sideways, and the shutters on the camper blowing and banging and thumping. And we were driven into the camper and had to stay there for 5 hours. Late in the afternoon, it finally died down. I walked out to the smell of ether in the air and looked across the river, and there, forming up, was a beautiful sunset. And you know how sunsets are. The first time the thing that happens is, the first time you notice one, it's just perfect. And then, about 2 minutes later, it starts to fade. And I stood there, and I don't know why, I got all emotional, thinking about the different kinds of sunsets I have seen in my life. So I came back in the trailer, and my pal was laying there sleeping in the bunk. I lit a candle, and I sat down, and this came out. Human life comes and goes as quickly as the blooming and fading of a sunset. And when there was thunder rolling in the distance when it came sunset, my parents used to say that the gods were bowling. And with each roar of sound, no thunderclap was ever duplicated, just like Muhammad Ali Michael Jordan, Jim Thorpe, Babe Ruth, B.B. King, the Rolling Stones, Mississippi John Hurt, and of course, Tina Turner. And if lightning was to strike close, leaving the smell of ozone when it came sunset, my eyes used to tell me that the sound would follow the flash. 5 seconds for every mile. One flare-up and then gone, like Buddy Holly, Janis Joplin, Selena, Robert Johnson, Jimi Hendrix, Otis Redding, and of course, Hank Williams. And sometimes the sun's rays lit the sky in brilliance when it came sunset. And my friends used to say that the angels were dancing barefoot when the clouds were backlit brightly, as if heralding the rising of the Beatles, Bob Dylan, Pavarotti, Wayne Gretzky, Pele, Tiger Woods, and of course, Albert Einstein. And if hurricane winds blew in, crushing things both flimsy and stout when it came sunset, my conscience used to wonder if the roaring winds of war were always preceded by dark clouds that foretold the coming of Alexander the Great, Attila the Hun, Vlad the Impaler, Napoleon, Hitler, Mao Zedong, and of course, Robert the Oppenheimer. And if there was a rainbow, every color on display when it came sunset, my mind used to say that no one person can do that much, until I had to come to grips with bright shards of wisdom from solos like Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, Winston Churchill, Abraham Lincoln, Buddha, Muhammad, and of course, Jesus. And if Moses was putting down the 10 Commandments today, they would number only 3. Number 1, be ye green, ye dudes and dudettes, for your carbon footprint is your legacy. Number 2, be ye not snit prone, that's SNITPRONE. Yea, verily I say unto you, be ye not snit prone. And number 3, and finally, be ye fruitless and do not multiply, for both sugar and children we have in plenty. And if Jesus was reborn a welder instead of being a carpenter's son, he would be a brawnier version of himself than we get in our churches. And he'd fire up a forge just for fun, and wielding molten hammer and tongs, would patiently make a keen-edged blade that he would then smilingly destroy, all up in the forge's fiery blaze. And his neon sign out front would say, we weld everything from the crack of dawn to broken hearts. Yeah, a human life comes and goes as quickly as the blooming and fading of a sunset. So with that stark reality firmly in mind, when indeed it comes to pass that I end my time and never again get to sit with you like this and regale you with harp songs, wit, and rhyme, rejoice then, my friends, and remember well this night, when I wished you a safe and dear free journey home, and then rose slowly from some beat-up wooden chair with my harp in hand and once black but now gray hair. And how I begged you please not to take it amiss, as I blew to you one and all a good night kiss. do you this. I saw this song. I heard this song many, many years ago in Europe. Fell in love with it. Was so moved by it, I swore up and down I was going to learn it and get it in my repertoire. You know how those things are. You promise yourself you'll do this. You promise yourself you'll do that. And life gets in the way. So 30 years later, I heard it again down in Arkansas. Once again, I was moved by it. This time, I had a real stern talk with myself in front of the mirror. What Stevie Goodman used to call mirror time, when you stand in front of the mirror with the door shut behind you, nobody can see, and you talk to yourself. You look in the mirror and point your finger at yourself and talk to yourself about how you can do better, and you can't settle for bull crap. Well, I figured it was time. I don't trust it. My eyes are so bad, I don't trust that I got the right note off that, so I'm going to take a note off the mandocello instead. This is one of those, if you don't get the right note, you might need an operation afterwards. Thank you one and all for coming out this evening in the really inclement weather to the library. And as Lindsay did mention, I will have my CDs out there. I kind of like it that I can carry my life's work in a cardboard box. Something is very humbling about that somehow. Here you go, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Of all the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me a parting glass. Good night and joy be to you all. So fill to me a parting glass, and drink a health whate'er befalls. Then gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be to you all. Of all the comrades that e'er I've had, they'd weary for my going away, and all the sweethearts that e'er I've had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. But since it fell unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be to you all. So fill to me a parting glass, and drink a health whate'er befalls. Then gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be to you all. Good night and joy be to you all. Good night, you guys. Thank you very much. very much, you guys. Thank you.